I work for Kinross, and I work from the corporate office. I'm in charge of the global Brownfields exploration. What I'm going to talk to you today is, in fact, we heard of investing in Ghana. We see the policy that needs to be done. What I want to talk to you about is how do we protect what we have now and how do we extend it. So there's a system that has been developed that I'm using to show you why it is important to look at what we have now and to be able to extend the mine life. What we know is that gold discoveries are becoming difficult. It is becoming very, very difficult. You know, the only place in the world that I believe gold discovery will be very easy is Antarctica. But unfortunately, gold mining is banned from that continent. And so for us in the gold industry, we go the opposite way of WAIC's book, which says the beautiful ones are not yet born. For us, the easy ones had already been found. It is now the difficult and ugly ones that are yet to be found. And as you can see, over the years, the discoveries are going down, even though the amount that is spent for those discoveries is going up. So what it means is that gold that is being discovered now is very expensive. It is becoming so much expensive that sometimes people don't want to invest in exploration anymore. But why is this so? PwC, which is the PricewaterhouseCoopers Institute, did a work, in fact, more in the North American area to see where the amount that, or the investment in gold mining, where does it go? And as you can see, a third of it goes back into mining itself. The consumables, the ones that you're using and it goes and it doesn't come. The next one is the people, and the third one is government. But when you bring this back to Africa, that too, the government and the people alone is more than 70%. But unfortunately, we always say we don't get any benefit. The companies spend so much money on people and the government, but we don't see it. Everybody sees the gold that goes out. Unfortunately, also, we spend only 2% of the investment in re-exploration or reinvesting to find more gold. So the question that I was asking myself was, why do we spend so little? And then in 2016, there was a meeting with the top CEOs of the gold companies in Denver. And one of the questions that was asked was, why are they reducing their exploration budget? And I picked 3. In fact, there were 6 of them who almost said the same thing. The Kinross board said that we will first be looking at our own backyard. And the ex-Barrick guy also said that we will always search for the near mine discoveries. And then Neiman said that we want the ounces that are of higher margin. If you extract the 3 guys' statement, it means that the 3 guys are saying that we only look at our own backyard first for near mine discoveries to add high margin ounces. So internally, all these guys are saying that we really need to look at what is within, what we have. Because one lady who was an asset management person, when he was being interviewed, she said, oh, you know, the mining guys are saying you can only discover gold at their own backyard. The reason being that greenfields is becoming difficult. Even though it's green, it is not as green. That is what I said, that the beautiful ones have already been found. It is very difficult. The lecturer was asking, how can he use the drone to pick up rocks? You pick the rocks all right, but sometimes it's difficult to get to know what is down there. And also the money doesn't come. because all the bosses are saying we don't want to spend money on the areas where we are not getting money, we are not getting any returns. So each one of them wants us to go into brownfields. I once told a group of people that, you know, apart from geologists who sees beyond the green, every person else doesn't see anything unless it is opened. Yeah, it's true. Because, you see, when the land is opened, there's a lot more that we can find. Obuasi has been mining for 120 years, but I believe we all know that we can find more. So my whole theory for today is to look at the entire mining production chain and then ask yourself, how best can we keep this chain or use this chain to redefine whatever is there, and also to make sure we make use of whatever is being found and not to destroy it. To tell you the truth, we've been destroying the little gold that we found. And I'm sure some time will come when we start getting smart metallurgists. We'll be going back to all the wisdoms and probably remill or retreat all our wisdom, because we have been throwing gold away. So my point here is what I call the systems thinking. Systems thinking is a phenomenon which uses certain concepts and theories to define or find solution. And also what it does is that it doesn't consider something as individual parts. It considers the whole, and more especially the relationship between these parts. It is not like the reductionist or the mechanistic approach where there's only one solution to a problem. There was a question that I posed to some people. Why do we have mirrors in elevators? You know, the story goes that in a sky-high building, apartment building in New York, one day the tenants started complaining. They went to the landlord and said, this elevator is too slow. Now the mechanical engineers were trying to find a solution, trying to design it to make it very fast. Within the team, there was a psychologist graduate. He stood up and said, no, the question is not how fast the elevator can go. The guys are bored. So put in a mirror, and the women will spend time looking at themselves before they realize they are at the base. And they thought it was a joke. When they put the mirrors in the elevators, all the complaints stopped.
What were the men doing?
The men were also looking at themselves. You ask them what about the men. And recently what they've done is that they've gone ahead of it. In fact, in most of the high buildings in Canada, it's not only the mirrors, there are TVs. So when you get in, you want to read what is there before you realize it is done. Now that is the power of systems thinking. Instead of thinking of only one way, there are a series of ways that you can look at. So that's what I'm trying to ask you guys to start thinking, so that the little resource that you have, you will find a way to take a full advantage of it. One of the best theories, in fact there are a series of theories, but one of the best theories of systems thinking is what is called the critical realism. Now, the critical realist is a person who believes that in every situation there are three levels of domains. And I quickly put it back into a geological domain. In a geology world, or in a mining world, we saw the mine chain. You can see that the land that we explore is what is called the real domain. In the real domain, the question that is asked is, what caused the happening? You know, geologists, we like interpreting the lithologies. We go ahead with all the structural design. That is, we are trying to come to terms with what really happened, what caused the main, what caused the whole happening. And the second level is where we ask ourselves, what has really happened? And that is when we are mining. And the third part is the empirical. You know, we always see the gold, and once we have the gold, we think that is what it is, but it is not. So what systems thinking is saying is that because there are 3 levels, always think about it that what we see is just a perception. So when the guy at the mill sees the gold, he needs to go back, or he needs to feed back the information to the exploration guys so that the exploration guys know whether what they estimated as the gold in the ground is what they are having. Getting. If it is not like that, then there's a need to do something. So based on this whole system thinking, I broke down the activities in the mining environment into the following 9. We explore to find. Once we find, we grow. Once we grow in it, we evaluate it. And when we evaluate, we classify, we optimize, we control, we maximize, and we recover. This is the entire chain. And because that is the entire chain, there are 3 core groups that we can bring ourselves into. The brownfield exploration guys, their role is to explore, find, and grow. It's very important that they grow. And this is where my point is coming from. The beautiful ones have already been found. So whatever we have found now, we need to grow it. I'm pretty sure that some of our mines that are being closed, we could have done something to keep it going. It is always important to grow it. But then the technical service guys who evaluate and they classify, that is the resource guys. They evaluate, they classify to say that is my measure, indicated, and inferred. And then the mine planning guys will optimize. But when it goes into the operations, they have to control by grade control, they have to maximize by short-term planning, and they have to recover from the mill. So that is the key 3 areas that needs to be come together. It shouldn't sit in isolation, because what systems thinking is saying, what is the relationship between these 3 circles that I have drawn? And in fact, if I put the intersections of them between exploration and tech services is what is called miners. In some areas, they give the entire miners team, miners job to the brownfield exploration guys. And the tech service guys to sit somewhere and they say, we don't care. That is not our duty. And again, mine planning is the intersection between the operations and the tech services. That one does always work. The other one that doesn't work is that once we find the gold and we give it to the guys to mine, they forget about us. They forget about those of us in exploration. That is why when there are issues, we are the first to be kicked out. What we also need to understand is that for a systems thinking, these 3 things must always feed back. Every information, it has to go. So the mining chain is not a horizontal thing, it is a circular feedback process. Okay, so all that I was saying was that from the brownfields exploration point, we need the tech services guys and we need the operations guys to ensure that we are in sync so that we take full advantage of the ore body and also to optimize the ore body. So sometimes everybody thinks it's only these 3 departments that are key. The question that I ask myself is, who else? Who else is helping to destroy the little brownfields that we have? You find out that it is the entire mining guys. Sometimes the IT guys will think, I am not involved in this resource thing, so I have nothing to play. The finance guys will tell you, I have nothing to play. But one of the key guys that kills exploration is the finance guys. And the second guy groups that actually kill exploration is the senior leadership team. People like myself. And then also the board, the old guys who sit at the very, very tip of the triangle. Because the finance guys always looks at numbers. And if you have a mine that has more than 5 years, you know, the finance guys always look, their 3-year plan and their 5-year plan. So if you have resource that is more than 5 years life of mine and you want to explore further, sometimes they tell you you don't need it. We are cash strapped, so let us cut And as I said, the first group of people that will be cut is the exploration guy. HR will always get more people into the mine, and some of them truly are redundant. And I always say that we have a lot of redundant people on the mine, and those guys kill whatever we have, because they increase cost, and when cost is increased, cut-off grade is increased, and when cut-off grade is increased, we drop our whole low-grade material and we cut our life of mine short. So it is not everybody. One of the things that you might have seen is that I didn't place anything at the core of the 3 circles. We heard of it this afternoon or this morning. Database, reconciliation. If your database is rough, then you can kill your mind. If your reconciliation is not looked at properly, you can kill your mind. So I will end by these last 2 slides of this guy who is a guru in systems thinking. And he said that, sometimes you always want to see who is the smart guy. The question of smartness is not an individual. It's only when we are very, very together. So he says that intelligence that matters is collective. It is the collective intelligence that will move a mind forward. So for each one, when the students, when you go back to your school and you go back to the mines, remember that it is when you work together. And that is why as students, you need to learn a little bit of the other disciplines so that at least you can understand what they are doing. And when you need them, you can ask questions that are very, very appropriate. But the good thing is that in Africa, before the invention of systems thinking, we already had it. I believe somebody said this yesterday. If you want to go fast, you just go alone. But if you really want to go far, go together. And that is the only way we can make use of the little, good, beautiful answers that we have found. Because the ugly ones are difficult to find. Thank you. Any question?
2 questions. 2 questions. 1 here.
Thank you very much. Nice presentation. But yesterday we had one presentation which said it's good to look at the greenfields. And now you have given us a different perception about why they need to look at the brownfields. So, juxtaposing these 2, what's the way forward?
Next question.
Okay, next question. Okay, no question. The guy who presented the greenfields, interestingly, is my classmate. He was my study mate. And here we are at 2 different areas. The reason why we want to emphasize on the brownfields is that it is becoming difficult to get greenfields. Now, what I would prefer that it is done is that we have junior companies. Let those junior guys search for the gold in the greenfields. And so if we want to invest, because we don't have the huge money to go into big time mining, let us invest in the small greenfield exploration. When we find it, the big guys will come and we sell it at a price.
That's right.
That is one of the best things to do. If you go to Canada, there's a lot of greenfields or small junior companies. All that they are doing is that they are finding gold, and once they find something, they report it. And you know what the big guys do? They invest. Maybe you don't see it, but the big guys invest in the junior companies. And so for people who are not in the big mining companies, that is the first place that we should be investing. Invest in those areas, and then you sell it big to the big guys. But to the brownfields, it is we protecting what we have. We brighten the corner that we are. Thank you.
Just to add a bit to what you just said with these junior companies. There was a small company in Ghana called Adans. It's an exploration company. they did a lot of work on former Bonte. They eventually created what is now Asanko Mine. At the time, they were so hard pressed for money. So they asked for, I think, about $2 million. No, they asked Goldfields to come and look at what they have. About $2 million. Goldfields, like I said, senior management came themselves. This letter thing, what is it? They didn't look at it. Now you know how much Goldfields paid to get 50% of Asanko. So that's what he's talking about. They don't spend small money, they want to spend big money. So let's encourage the small boys, let them find it, and we'll go and pay big money for it. So it's a business proposal that he's giving us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give him another hand of applause.
Thank you.